Hey guys, welcome to the Bookkeeper Basecamp podcast. This show is for virtual bookkeepers who are starting, growing, and scaling online bookkeeping businesses. I'm your host, Kimberly Stevenson. Let's dive in and see what we're talking about in today's episode. Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of the Bookkeeper Basecamp podcast. Today, I want to talk with you about how to ensure that you're laying a solid foundation in your business, especially in the online space, and how you can plan now to grow your business, leverage your strengths, and position your business for long-term success. Having worked in the finance industry for over 30 years, I've talked with a lot of bookkeepers, and so often the focus is on questions like, how do I start my business? How do I get more clients? How do I make more money? And I get that. I mean, for years, all we've heard from the internet gurus is how to make $1 million in less than 90 days, right? So it's understandable that that's where so much of the focus is. But what happens when you do attract the audience, convert the clients, and have no fulfillment system in place, or you don't really understand how to serve your clients from end to end? What happens then? We can't just let the goal be to get more and more clients when we're not making sure that we've laid the foundation and reinforced our business at each stage of growth. Now, speaking of growth stages, did you know that there's an actual pathway to profit when it comes to building your virtual bookkeeping business? Yeah, there's a roadmap that will take you from corporate robot working to fulfill someone else's dreams and pad someone else's bonus plan or their golden parachute to really becoming a bookkeeper CEO where you're living your own dream and building your own legacy on your own terms. Now, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. So before we get into that, if you're new around here, I'm Kimberly Stevenson. I'm a business coach, a change agent, and an income strategist for virtual bookkeepers who are ready to break through the six-figure ceiling and scale their businesses profitably and sustainably. I'm that person you want in your corner when you really need clarity because you're struggling to connect with your audience and sell your virtual bookkeeping services online. I'm a big proponent of knowing your strengths and leveraging your unique talents to focus on a smaller niche audience so you can convert highly qualified leads into soulmate clients. I also teach my clients how shifting your mindset and the messaging around your service offers allow you to hit your income goals sooner and more consistently, and how making these shifts help give you the ability to earn more, pay yourself and your team better, and to work a lot less in the process. Now, when I first meet a virtual bookkeeper, whether it's at an event, on Clubhouse, or in my Facebook group, one of the things I ask is, where are you right now in terms of revenue? And the answer I often hear is that they're making less than half of what they were making in their full-time job. And on average, that's somewhere around $15,000 to $16,000 a year in their business. And that's if they're lucky. When I hear that, my heart breaks because I also know they're probably working a lot of hours for some of the most difficult clients just to eke by. So then my next question usually is, where would you really like to be revenue-wise and by when? And here's where things get interesting. I often hear, well, I'd really like to 5 or 10x that amount in the next 4 to 6 months. And while that's certainly possible, we end up having this conversation about whether it's a reasonable goal. And here's why I say that based on what I see a lot. While most of us are in our corporate jobs as a bookkeeper or a staff accountant or an accounting clerk, we typically get very little exposure to business planning, to marketing strategies, or sales plans. We also don't get to watch the operations folks in their element while they're executing on the objectives set in place by company leadership. We usually only see the paperwork, the bills, and the revenue behind the machine, so we don't spend a lot of time studying the machine and how it works from the first point in that ecosystem to the very last spot, which happens to be us, right? And because we don't get to experience the ecosystem, it's hard to learn how the business has grown. And it's hard to learn how to grow a business for ourselves. It's hard to understand what activities it actually takes to build a business from scratch to well over 6 figures in revenue. It's so important to align your daily, your weekly, and your monthly activities with every stage that you're in your business, and to fully understand when you're ready to move on to the next stage. When we focus on our internal plan of action, we no longer have time to compare our business or ourselves to anyone else online, because we're focused on executing our own plan, on our own goals, and on achieving our own outcomes. And so today, I want to share these bookkeeper business stages with you. This is what I actually teach my clients in a much more detailed way. But what I'm sharing here with you today is really valuable because it can give you some insight into the real reason why you might be struggling to see progress in your business right now. I want to share these things with you in a way that helps you not only narrow down the stage of where you are in your virtual bookkeeping business, but it'll also help you understand what you should be doing as you move through each of these stages so you can hit that 6-figure mark that has up until now been kind of this elusive idea that hangs out on your vision board somewhere. I also want to help you be sure that what you're doing at this moment is actually laying a strong foundation so you can know that the business you're building is not only profitable, but it's also scalable, and that those activities that we just talked about, that revenue and that profit that you're creating is sustainable for the long-term foreseeable future. So let's talk about these 4 foundational levels to building your 6-figure virtual bookkeeping business. When you first start out, your business is little more than an idea. You might be working in a corporate finance role and looking for something different, or you might be raising a family and wanting to earn an income using the skills that you already have. Regardless of why you start and where you are when you do, the first level of business is when you're looking for something that you don't currently have and you need to really plan how you're going to go about getting it. That's why I call this first level the planner level. During this time in your business, it's really important for you to figure out what will and what won't work for you and decide who it is you'd like to work with in your business. It's during this phase where if you're not working in a corporate job, you may not likely be drawing any income at all. So it's important for you to move through this level as soon as you possibly can. The most important thing that you should be focusing on right now is what you want to do and how you want to close on your first few clients. Asking yourself things like, how do I sell my service to the people who really need it so I can build my portfolio and I can build my confidence as a business owner? Or how do I actually start generating revenue at this thing? During this early phase, you want to be doing the mindset work that will help you prepare to deal with all the ups and downs of building a business. You also want to be researching various industries as you start thinking about the types of businesses that you'd really like to serve. And then you need to decide. You need to decide to make the leap, to take the first step towards building your business dreams. There's a quote by Zig Ziglar that says, "You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great." So this is the point where you have to make the decision to get started. The next level in building your business foundation is the launcher level, the launch level. You've made that decision to move forward, and so now you're actually putting yourself out into the world and sharing your business with potential clients. This is also the level where a lot of people hit this ceiling, regardless of how low it is, and they actually give up before they start to create any traction. And This happens because at this point in your business, you're going to be testing out a lot of different possibilities, and many of them won't work for you. They just won't pan out. And this is where that mindset that you started working on back in the planner level really comes into play. Most successful business owners don't become that by accident. They become successful because of the daily decisions that they make to push through all the confusion and the fear and the hard times until the traction that they're starting to create turns into momentum, and that momentum turns into all-out velocity. Finding your first clients can definitely be difficult. Most of the emerging virtual bookkeepers that I speak with start out by casting this really wide net, and they start telling everyone they know about their new business. They tell their family, their friends, and even their coworkers. And I get this, right? They start to work on their website, and they might have some business cards printed. They start asking people who they know that might need a bookkeeper. All of these things have really worked for other people in the past, right? The distant past. They even rush out to go and get certified on things like QuickBooks or FreshBooks or some other program because somebody somewhere said it's best that they have credentials to prove their value. Again, that worked in the past. It worked before. But today, most certifications are little more than having your name placed in a database along with tens of thousands of other bookkeepers just like you who are competing for the same clients. And the difference is that most of them have more experience as a business owner than you do right now, and they're probably 5 or 10 steps ahead of you. I know that's hard to hear, but it's reality. And so you're fighting this uphill battle to stand out in the crowd. Now, this might sound a little bit different from much of what you hear in the industry, and it might even feel a bit counterintuitive. But a great place to start when you're first launching, instead of following the old school mentality, is to connect with and support other established virtual bookkeeping firms and tax professionals. Now, notice I didn't say CPAs. I love CPAs, don't get me wrong. But in my opinion, that's another outdated tactic that I hear thrown around all the time. Here's why. Most CPAs have their own bookkeepers on staff already. They have established relationships with local bookkeepers that they've probably been working with for years, or they advise their clients to hire someone to do their bookkeeping directly. Now, conversely, there are a ton of virtual bookkeeping firms that are already at levels ahead of you, and as they grow, they need to add on team members to help them do it. And the goal for you here is to establish a subcontractor relationship with other virtual bookkeepers. So as you're growing your confidence as an emerging bookkeeper, you're starting to grow your revenue as a business owner as well. The likelihood is greater that they will be totally fine with remote workers because, that's what they do already. They understand the online environment because that's their sandbox. They want to save on employee expenses because they're still a relatively new business and they're still small, and they want to grow, but they don't yet have the capacity to do that on their own. So it's a win-win situation. So I highly recommend pursuing relationships with virtual bookkeeping firms and firm owners that are a bit more established than you are in order to help you grow your business, to grow and develop your experience, and to build your confidence. This also gives you the opportunity to hone in and understand who it is that you really want to serve in your own business. And as a matter of fact, this should be your core focus during this particular phase of getting your business off the ground. Really figuring out who it is you want to serve, how you can serve them best, and why it is that you want to do that. Right now, you want to get really clear on what you want to be known for, where your technical expertise lies, and how you can support your clients and help solve their biggest headaches when it comes to their business finances. Okay, so that's the first two phases, right? So after the launch phase, you'll begin to make the transition to the next level of your foundation building when you're generating somewhere around 40,000 to 100,000 a year in your business. And this level, this phase is what I call the growth phase. This is when I really think that you're actually starting to transition from a freelancer to a business owner. Mainly because this is the phase when you really need to be focusing not only on building your brand, but also on building out those back-end systems, the workflows and operational processes that'll strengthen the foundation of your business for years to come. It's still not quite time to be adding things like complicated sales funnels and paid advertising just yet, or adding a bunch of team members, because let's face it, at this point, you've barely replaced the average salary of a bookkeeper or staff accountant working in corporate at this time. So, while you're paying yourself a living wage through your business, now is not the time to be investing a lot of money or effort or time into scaling your business. It's all about growth right now, and that's different. Now is the time to create systems that will support your business, to develop SOPs that you need so when you do hire your first few team members, it's just that much easier to onboard them and to train them. Now is the time to consider raising your rates to support the ongoing needs of your business. And most importantly, now is the time to invest in your own personal development as a business owner so you really get to a place where you know your strengths and weaknesses. And start to specialize and niche into areas where you are no longer competing on price because you stand so far above other providers in the space that are still showing up as a generalist and trying to be everything to everybody. Now, before we jump into the final level that I want to share with you in this episode, I want to make sure that I invite you to join me over in my free community for virtual bookkeepers just like you. It's over on Facebook and it's called the Bookkeeper Base Camp. We like to keep things pretty simple around here, so it's easy for you to find us on most platforms. So if you want to connect with other ambitious virtual bookkeepers who are planning, launching, and growing their business, be sure to join us over there. We even have virtual bookkeepers in the group who have laid the first 3 levels of their foundation and are already scaling their businesses. And that brings us to the last level that I wanted to share with you today. Once you hit the 6-figure mark in your business, it's time to make another decision. Do you want to stay here, which would be totally fine and up to you, okay? Or do you want to keep going and scale the business? If you decide that you want to continue to grow, this is the phase in your business when you'll take what is already working really well and double down in those areas. Your systems and processes are tight and documented by now. Now you can onboard team members seamlessly so they can focus on those tasks that you were doing as you turn your focus to client acquisition, staff training and development, and all the CEO things that need to be done. You'll be spending far more time working on your business than working in your business now, and that's a good thing. This is what you've been working towards all along. Now you get to play in all the new marketing channels that you want and that the business can support as you continue to grow your audience and your client base. Now you get to really get good at selling your services based on the sheer volume of potential clients that are in your sphere of influence. Now you get to impact that audience and your team and your family in ways that just weren't possible before you made it to this point. Now you really can lean back and smile because you're helping your clients transform their own businesses through showing up in your own zone of genius, which allows them to show up in theirs. And now you get to increase your income exponentially as your firm continues to scale and you continue to crush your goals. I wanted to share these foundational levels with you so that you understand where your main focus should be for where you are right now, and you are consistently starting to sell your virtual bookkeeping service and you reach that impact and the income goals that you've set for yourself. And it all starts with understanding the level in which you're in, the phase in which you're in your business. So let me ask you, are you planning? Are you launching? Are you growing, or are you scaling right now? Think about your daily activities. Are you focusing on the things that will get you to the next phase in your business, or have you skipped some steps in the process? Are you working way too many hours because you've accepted new clients despite not having the systems in place to support them? Are you over capacity because you're taking on any and every client that says that they want to give you their money, and then they're having to wait weeks or months because you don't have a team in place to serve them and you've run out of hours in the day? What happens then is that you risk your professional reputation because of a poor client experience. And believe me, once your reputation is gone, it's impossible to get it back. Are you stuck with working with clients that you actually don't like, or where their rates are so low that you struggle to pay the bills for yourself? Or those that take up so much of your time because you don't have solid systems or client boundaries in place? Did you take the time necessary to design a business model that works for you and that attracts your ideal clients? If the answer to any of these questions is no, your foundation needs work, my friend. And again, that starts with knowing exactly what you should be and what you shouldn't be focused on in this very moment, at this very spot on the bookkeeper profit path. It's as simple as that. All right, that does it for this episode. I hope to connect with you in our community or on one of our social channels. If what I've shared with you on this episode resonates, or if you have any questions, I'd love to chat with you more. We'll share all of our social handles in our show notes, and just reach out to me. I'm available. I can't wait to chat with you on our next episode. Thanks for listening in today. Ciao for now. Well, that's it. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Bookkeeper Basecamp podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to rate, subscribe, and leave us a positive review. This will help other virtual bookkeepers like you find the show and learn how they can become a bookkeeper CEO too. And if you want to hear more from me, be sure to follow Spark Hustle Flow across all social media channels, or you can simply search hashtag Bookkeeper Basecamp. And don't forget, you can always come hang out with us over in the free Bookkeeper Basecamp Facebook group. We'd love to have you there. So that's it for this episode. Remember, as always, be proactive, be productive, be profitable, and we'll see you next time.